Hi everybody, I'm Todd and I hope you're having a great week. Today I'm taking a look at the entry-level headphones from Shure. They're the SRH240As. These were redesigned a few years ago. Let's see if these hold up to expectations for a Shure headphone. Now Shure created the SRH240A as an entry level into their headphone lineup. But is it something that you could really get and then step up and say, okay, well, yeah, I can hear the Shure sound signature, or is it on its own? And who are they for? Critical listening, casual listening? Is it for gaming, taking with you, mixing, mastering, recording? We're going to find out with a lot of audio tests and we'll see just who these are for. Now I encourage you to wear headphones. All headphone audio in this review is recorded using my binaural mic. So I'm trying to give you as accurate a representation of what you would hear through these headphones as possible. Now when I look at the sine sweep analysis, I see kind of a rolling deviation from the standard frequency response of the reference file. We've got a definite boost happening around 100 Hertz, followed by a roll off in the sort of 3 to 6, 7, 800 range, followed by again a boost, a dip, and a boost. Looking at the linear analysis, we can see that definitely a boost happening around 1 to 2K with a dip in and around 3, 4 to 5K, followed by a boost again right after that. That's definitely going to impart a tone on the sound. Let's go ahead and check out music. Now listening back to music on these headphones, I definitely perceived some boost in the lower frequencies, but it also sounded thin. There was quite a bit of missing material, which explains kind of the dip we're seeing here in that 3, 4, 5, even up to 800 Hertz range. Then I could hear the mids, but again, they didn't have the clarity that I would expect. And again, these are an inexpensive headphone, but nonetheless, the clarity wasn't there. That could be due to the dip in and around 3 to 4K. But yet there was a presence, there was a treble at the top end. Again, we can see a boost there. Linear analysis gives us a little more detail here. Definitely though, the perception of music is altered. There's a definite sound signature to these headphones, at least to my ears. And looking at the direct comparison graph, we can see the 240A tend to underemphasize the frequencies between about 300 Hertz and even 1K. Those frequencies can reduce muddiness, but they also can make the sound thinner. Then we get a slight boost and finally, again, a dip in that kind of 3, 4K range, which is going to thin things out again and take away some of the clarity. And once again, the linear analysis gives us some more detail there. But really what we're seeing here is that the frequency response is somewhat shifted irregularly throughout the spectrum. Now for a dynamic comparison of music, I went ahead and loaded up the original direct recording into iZotope's audio lens as a reference. That'll be the purple region. Then we'll go ahead and compare that to the live playback of the recording made through the headphones, and that'll be the white dynamic line.
What about the world we both believed in? What about the word that made it so? What about the world we both believed in? What about the word that made it so?
You show me beauty in life. You put me first all the time. No wonder I'm on a high when I'm with you, oh yeah. You show me beauty in life. You put me first all the time. No wonder I'm on a high when I'm with you, oh yeah.
Now, although I didn't find male vocal to be drastically altered by these headphones, I did experience a lack of detail and clarity, as well as some reduction in the body in the low end. And again, looking at the logarithmic analysis, we can see that there is an underemphasis in that 400, 500, 600 hertz range. Definitely a bit of a boost above 5K. But again, we're missing something just below that, and that definitely is going to impact the clarity of a male voice. Again, my perception, but it seems to bear out on the graphs. When I look at female vocal was also impacted by these headphones, not so much in the lower range that didn't lose body of the voice to me, but there also was a bit of an absence of clarity with an overboosted high right above that, just above the sibilant range. And so for me, not the greatest reproduction on vocals. And this is a sample of spoken word, so we can compare the sound of the recording directly versus the sound through the headphones. And this is a sample of spoken word, so we can compare the sound of the recording directly versus the sound through the headphones. Now, on spoken word, I would say, again, I didn't experience a loss of any of the characteristics of the voice, but the clarity, definitely these headphones weren't doing anything to help it out. And looking at the logarithmic analysis, again, in the spoken word range, those frequencies between 1 and 5K, the 1K can tend to make the mids sound a little brighter, but then we lose that in the frequencies from the kind of 3 to 4K just before we start getting into the sibilant range. And that can reduce the clarity, and I did experience that to some extent. Now, these headphones are very lightweight, and I actually found they didn't do a lot of heat buildup over long sessions. So you might think, well, maybe these are an option for gaming. I'm a little suspect after the loss in clarity that I had through the other tests, but let's check out some game audio.
Final straight, and this kid is not stopping.
Now, after spending considerable time trying these with a variety of games, I really found the same thing that I think comes through here in the audio test, and that is there was a lack of clarity, but beyond that, the environment seemed very closed in, like it was not spacious. Imaging, soundstage, nothing about these headphones was doing any favors to creating an expansive environment. The isolation isn't bad, so immersion is okay, but overall, these would not be my choice for gaming. Now, as a bit of a continuation from what I was saying in the game audio analysis, Soundstage and Imaging performance on these headphones was a disappointment for me. Soundstage is very closed in, very small. I didn't find to be expansive in any of the tests, whether it was music, voice. Imaging also, really no experience here of a phantom center, very poor sense of any kind of stereo image with these. So if that's something critical for you, I'm going to say these are a no. Now, I'll talk a bit about the build quality of these headphones, and I'm going to say that I consider them to actually be very average, and that's being generous, maybe even a little below average. They're very plasticky. As you wear them, you can hear them creaking if you move your head whatsoever. So if you don't have the level of your music turned up fairly loud, you're going to constantly hear this creaking and cracking even as you turn your head. Not so great. They do seem to have a reinforced headband, a little bit of strength in there. The adjustments are fairly positive on them as well. But the other thing I will say is that they don't swivel with the cups. They do pivot up and down a little bit, but they move very easily. You can maybe even hear them. They're creaking as I'm moving them back and forth. The cables are very thin. They're permanently attached with a strain release here. I'm not quite sure how well that's going to hold up. Even the cable itself, it's obviously an inexpensive cable. But the plug on the end is set up fairly well and may be quite durable, and it does have a threaded 6.3 millimeter adapter or a 1/4 inch adapter, so that's not so bad. Compared to other Shure headphones, just pulling out the 840As here, and of course, It's a bit unfair. These are more expensive headphone, but the 440As are very similar. With these, you get the swivel cups here. You have detachable cable, a lot more padding. These are quite a bit better made. So it's a pretty big step up from the 240A to go into like an 840A or other Shure headphones. So they're almost disconnected from the rest of the line is how I look at them. Those of you that are familiar with my headphone reviews know I don't spend a lot of time on features and specs. There'll be a link in the description below. A few highlights of these headphones: they're 38 ohms, they're very easy to drive, and get very loud with any device you hook them up to. So if you just want something to get loud, yeah, they'll do that for you. They are very lightweight, which is also a positive, but the construction, again, poor, and I didn't like the cable being permanently attached. Now that we've gone through some tests and taken a close look at these headphones, I'll give you my final thoughts. I have to say, for me personally, I'm a little bit disappointed in these headphones compared to the other models in the Shure line. I understand that at an affordable price, some sacrifices have to be made, but even as I'm wearing them now, there's like a constant creaking in my ears, even as I speak, and that to me is a deal breaker 100%. I understand maybe not a detachable cable. You see the same thing with models like the M20X. There's some compromises are made, but structurally these headphones just aren't well put together. The drivers, again, I expect they're not going to perform the same as expensive drivers, but they just have a rolling disconnect with the original sound profile is all I can describe it as. And if you watched in detail with the test, you know what I'm talking about. They just aren't really a headphone that gives you any sort of reasonable representation of the music or other source materials being played. They have such a definite sound signature to them, which is okay if you really like it, but for any kind of critical listening, definitely is going to cause a struggle for you. So overall, I'm going to say that for most applications, I don't recommend these headphones. I think you can do better in this price point. And if you want to get into some really good Shure headphones, save up a little bit, spend a little more money, because they do have some great choices in their product line. And if you're looking for other headphones, whether it's for critical or casual listening, check out one of the videos on the screen. You guys know that I really do appreciate you joining me. It's great having you here, and I hope I see you next time.